At my daughter's school ceremony, my mom hugged my brother's kids, ignored mine, and whispered, "Tell her not to get excited. She'll never be the grandchild we brag about." I kept my daughter smiling through every photo. Then the principal reached the podium, opened the final envelope, and my mother's expression broke before the applause did. The principal pulled out a gold envelope at the end of the ceremony. Nobody in the room knew what was inside, but I did. I had known for 6 weeks. And I spent every one of those 6 weeks watching my mother play favorites in public like it was something she was proud of. My name is Rachel. My daughter is Lily. She is 9 years old. That afternoon, Lily watched her grandmother hug her cousins, fix their clothes, pose them for pictures, and introduce them to strangers like they were trophies. And when it came to Lily, my mother gave her a first name and nothing else. But I need to take you back 3 weeks before the ceremony, because that is where all of this started. And I want you to see every part of it. It started with the school newsletter. Westbrook Academy sends out a newsletter every month. It goes to parents, guardians, and emergency contacts. My mother had put herself on that list 2 years ago. She asked to be added as Lily's emergency contact. Not because she cared about Lily's safety, because the newsletter told her what events were coming up. It told her which kids were doing what. And most importantly, it told her when my brother Kevin's kids would be involved. She read that newsletter like a schedule. She scanned it for chances to show up and show off. The main newsletter listed the spring recognition ceremony. Every grade was part of it. There were awards for academics, community work, and creative projects. Kevin's twins, James and Olivia, were singing with the third-grade choir. That was all my mother needed to see. Within 2 days, she had a plan. I know this because Kevin's wife, Megan, texted me on a Tuesday night. Casual. Easy. The way she always passed along things my mother had already decided. "Hey, your mom mentioned the ceremony. She's so excited. She wants the kids in navy and cream, so they match in the photos. Did she tell you?" She had not told me. I typed back. "No, she didn't mention it." Megan sent a smiley face and moved on. That was it. That was the full amount of planning that included me, a second-hand text, and an emoji. 3 days later, I found out about the restaurant. My mother had booked a lunch after the ceremony at a fancy place on Whitfield Avenue called Linden. The kind of spot where you need a reservation weeks ahead of time, and the food looks better than it tastes. She booked a table for 5. Herself, Kevin, Megan, James, and Olivia. 5 seats. My daughter and I were not invited. I found out because Megan brought it up on a family phone call. She said, "Your mom picked Linden for after the ceremony. The scallops are supposed to be amazing." I listened for my name in that sentence. It was not there. I did not ask to be added. I did not call my mother. I did not bring it up with Kevin. I just kept quiet and filed it away. Same place I put every other time they forgot I existed. And I kept getting my daughter ready for the ceremony, because here is what none of them knew. 6 weeks before the newsletter. 6 weeks before the matching outfits. 6 weeks before the restaurant reservation and the whispered introductions. The school had called me. Not the family. Just me. Lily's mother. Mrs. Dawson, the principal at Westbrook, asked me to come in for a private meeting. I sat in her office on a Wednesday afternoon while Lily was in art class. Mrs. Dawson told me that Lily had been chosen for the Whitmore Award. It is the biggest award the school gives out each year. Only one student wins it. The name is kept secret and put inside a sealed gold envelope. Nobody finds out until the principal opens it on stage at the ceremony. "I need your written permission," Mrs. Dawson said. "And I need to tell you something else." "Okay." She stopped for a second. She folded her hands together and picked her words carefully, like she had been thinking about this for a while. "I have been at this school for 11 years. I go to every event. I see every family. And I have noticed something about yours." I kept my face still. "What do you mean?" "At last year's winter concert, a woman in your family moved the children around for a group photo and pushed Lily to the side. At the fall open house the year before that, the same woman introduced 2 of the children to Lily's teacher with big descriptions. She introduced Lily with just her first name. Nothing else. Mrs. Dawson, I appreciate that, but family stuff is complicated. I know. That is the word everyone uses. Like it explains something. She leaned in a little. I do not usually talk about things like this, Mrs. Harris. But I have watched your daughter come into this building every morning for 3 years. She is focused. She is kind. She works harder than most adults I know. The committee picked her on her own. Her writing samples made 2 of the judges cry. This award belongs to her. And it has nothing to do with anything except what she built by herself. I looked down at the permission form. My eyes blurred for a second before I blinked them clear. Does anyone else know? Just you, me, and the 3 committee members. It stays sealed until the ceremony. Good. She watched me for a moment. You are not going to tell your family? No. She nodded slowly, and I could tell from her face that she understood exactly why. I signed the form. I thanked her. I drove home gripping the steering wheel so hard my jaw ached. 6 weeks. I carried that secret for 6 weeks. And I watched my mother build her little show without knowing the whole thing was about to fall apart. The morning of the ceremony, I braided Lily's hair. She had picked her own dress. A soft green cotton dress with white buttons down the front. She found it at a second-hand shop 2 weeks earlier. She said it looked like something a scientist would wear to accept a big discovery. I did not argue with that. We got to the auditorium at 1:15. The ceremony started at 2. I wanted Lily to have time to settle in, to walk through the room before it filled up with noise and family and the kind of pressure my mother brings everywhere she goes. By 1:30, people were showing up. Teachers set programs on seats. A projector showed the school logo on a screen behind the podium. The room smelled like floor cleaner and flowers. My mother showed up at 1:40, 40 minutes early. She was not early because she was excited. She was early because she needed to control the room before the room controlled her. She wore a gray wrap dress and pearl earrings. Her hair was done. Her shoes were new. She walked in like she was about to be photographed, like the room was watching and she wanted it to. Kevin and Megan came with her. The twins were in matching navy blazers with cream-colored shirts. James had his hair combed neat. Olivia wore a headband that matched her mother's top. They looked like they walked off a catalog page. They looked planned because they were. My mother spotted Lily and me in the 3rd row. She walked toward us, and for one quick second I saw Lily's face light up. My daughter raised her hand in a small wave. She still had hope in her. She still expected love. That is the thing about kids. They keep reaching for people even when every reach before came back empty. My mother walked right past her. Not around her. Past her. Like Lily was a piece of furniture between her and the people she actually came to see. She got to James first. She bent down, held his face in both hands, and kissed his forehead. Look at you, she said. My handsome boy. You're going to steal the whole show today. James grinned. Grandma, we practiced our song like 50 times. And it will be perfect every time. Kevin, did you bring the good camera? Not that phone junk. The real camera. Kevin held it up. Got it, Mom. Good. I want real pictures today. Not those blurry phone shots Megan posts. Megan's smile got a little thinner, but it held. Then Olivia. My mother pulled her into a big hug. She smoothed her hair. She held her out at arm's length and looked at the headband like it was made of gold. Beautiful. Just beautiful. You look exactly like me when I was your age. Megan, where did you find this headband? Target, actually. Well, it looks like Nordstrom. That is what counts. She turned Olivia toward the aisle like she was adjusting a display. Stand up straight, sweetie. People notice. Then she straightened up. Her eyes moved over Lily, without stopping. The way you look at something you have already decided does not matter.
Hi, sweetheart.
Go sit down. 3 grandchildren. 2 big hugs. 1 sentence and no eye contact. Lily sat down next to me. She did not say anything. She put her hands on her program and pressed the paper flat on her knees. Her hand was still half raised from the wave. My mother never noticed. I put my arm around her and pulled her close. I could feel the question building inside her. The one she had learned not to ask out loud. I leaned down and whispered in her ear. You look like someone who is about to have the best afternoon of her life. You think so? I know so. She smiled. Small but real. She leaned into me, and I held her there, my hand on her shoulder, feeling her breathing slow down. My mother had already moved to the other side of the room. I watched her walk up to a woman I recognized. One of James's classmates' moms. My mother put her hand on the woman's arm and pointed at the twins. These are my grandchildren. James is our athlete. He made the travel soccer team this spring. And Olivia has the most gorgeous singing voice. She is performing with the choir today. The woman smiled. How lovely. Are all your grandchildren in the show? My mother waved her hand. Oh, my other granddaughter is here somewhere. She's in 4th grade. Sweet girl. Sweet girl. No name. No details. No future. Just 2 soft words that meant absolutely nothing. She moved to another group of parents. A man in a sport coat standing with his wife near the window. My mother reached out and shook his hand like a politician at a fundraiser. Carol Harris. My grandchildren are in the program today. James is our soccer star, already being looked at for the travel team. And Olivia is doing a solo piece with the choir. Olivia was not doing a solo. She was singing in a 30-kid choir. But my mother never let the truth get in the way of a good story. The man's wife asked, How many grandchildren do you have? 3, my mother said. Then she changed the subject. She said the number. She counted Lily. And then she moved right past it, making sure nobody asked to follow up. By the time the ceremony started, at least 4 sets of parents had heard all about James and Olivia. None of them knew Lily's name. My mother had walked through that room and told everyone who mattered which grandchildren to pay attention to, and which one to skip. And then, 7 minutes before the ceremony started, I heard it. My mother was back in our section. She was standing 1 row behind me, leaning close to Megan. I was fixing Lily's collar, and my head was tilted slightly back. My mother thought the noise in the room was loud enough to cover her voice. She was wrong. Megan, listen. Tell Rachel not to let Lily get too excited today. I don't want her getting disappointed when the other kids get their awards and she doesn't. Megan paused. Carol, I'm sure Lily will be fine. She seems happy just to be here. Happy is not the point. The point is expectations. That girl walks around like she is waiting for something big to happen to her, and Rachel encourages it. She will never be the grandchild we brag about. That is just how it is, and someone needs to keep her expectations in check before she embarrasses herself. Megan went quiet after that. She glanced at me fast, then looked away. I kept my hands on Lily's collar. I finished straightening it. I smoothed a wrinkle that did not need smoothing. My daughter was 6 feet away from that sentence. She was reading the list of award categories on her program, running her finger down the page, whispering the names to herself. I do not know how much she heard. I do not know if the words hit her or floated past. But I know this. Something changed inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. It was a door closing. Not slamming. Just clicking shut. And I knew it was never opening again. I had taken every insult aimed at me for 34 years. Every forgotten birthday. Every second-hand invitation. Every family photo where I was cut to the edge. Every introduction that gave me a name and nothing else. I could have kept taking it forever. But she put her hands on my daughter. And the door closed. The ceremony started at 2. Mrs. Dawson walked to the podium in a navy blazer and welcomed everyone with the calm confidence of someone who had done this dozens of times and still believed it mattered. The first hour went the way you would expect. Awards by grade. Each kid walked to the stage, got a certificate, and smiled for the school photographer. Parents clapped for each name. Phones went up. Everyone tried to record their kids 10 seconds on stage. Olivia sang with a 3rd grade choir. They did a 2-part song I did not recognize. Olivia's voice was nice, clear and on pitch. My mother recorded the whole thing on her phone, holding it with both hands like she was filming a court case. When the song ended, she turned to Kevin. Did you get that from the other side? I got it, Mom. Send it to me tonight. I want to post it before anyone else puts theirs up. Before anyone else. Everything was a competition. James got a sportsmanship certificate. My mother clapped louder than anyone around her. She even turned in her seat to make sure the families nearby were watching. Kevin smiled. Megan put her hand on her chest like she was watching history being made. "That's my grandson," my mother told the woman next to her. Loud enough to be a statement. Quiet enough to sound casual. A fourth-grade boy got a reading award. My mother leaned toward Kevin and said, loud enough for me to hear, "That is the kind of thing they give out when there is nothing else to give." She laughed softly. Kevin smiled without looking at her. Lily straightened in her seat next to me. "Mom, that boy reads faster than anyone in fourth grade. He finished all the Harry Potter books in 3 weeks." "I know, baby." "Then why did Grandma say that?" I took a breath. "Because Grandma does not always understand what matters." Lily thought about it for a second. Then she turned back to the stage and did not ask another question about her grandmother for the rest of the day. The afternoon kept going. Creative writing, community service, music, science. Each award was real, earned, and clapped for by 400 parents who were proud of kids who had done something worth recognizing. And then Mrs. Dawson came back to the podium. The room shifted. Programs rustled. A few parents sat up straighter. This was the moment the whole afternoon had been building toward. And most of the people in that room had no idea. Mrs. Dawson fixed the microphone. She looked out at the audience with a look I recognized from our private meeting. Calm, steady, and just a little bit pleased. "Every year," she said, "Westbrook Academy gives out the Whitmore Award. This is our highest honor. It goes to one student who has shown excellence in academics, character, and service to our school community. The winner is chosen by a separate committee, and the name is kept secret until right now." She reached under the podium and pulled out a gold envelope. My mother leaned forward a little. Not with excitement. With the lazy interest of someone who assumed this had nothing to do with her family. Mrs. Dawson opened the envelope. She read the card inside. She looked up. "This year's Whitmore Award goes to Lily Harris." The room went silent for 1 second. Then it exploded. 400 parents started clapping. Teachers stood up. The fourth graders near the front lost their minds. Lily's best friend Sophie grabbed her arm and screamed. The sound filled the room from the floor to the ceiling and bounced off every wall. Lily turned to me. Her eyes were huge. Her mouth was open. She was gripping her program so hard it had bent in half. "Mom,
Go," I said.
that is yours." She stood up. She walked to the stage. She climbed the 3 steps with the slow, careful walk of a kid who could not believe the ground under her was real. Mrs. Dawson handed her a framed certificate and a small crystal trophy. The school photographer was already moving. Not to the spot my mother had set up earlier. To the stage. To Lily. The clapping kept going. It got louder. Parents I had never met were on their feet. A teacher in the second row was wiping her eyes. Lily stood at the podium holding the trophy with both hands, and she smiled. Not for the camera. Not for the crowd. For herself. Because she had earned something that nobody in that room could rearrange, reposition, or cut out of the picture. I stood up. I clapped. I kept my face steady even though everything behind it was falling apart and coming back together at the same time. Kevin stood. Megan stood. My mother stayed in her seat. 3 seconds. Maybe 4. Long enough for the woman next to her to look down. Long enough for the parents in the next row to notice the stillness. Long enough for it to show up on the school video that a parent volunteer was recording from the center aisle. Then she stood. Slow. Stiff. Clapping with the stiff beat of someone whose hands were doing what her face had not agreed to. Her mouth tightened. Her chin dipped. Her eyes moved to me, then to Kevin, then to Mrs. Dawson, then back to me. She was looking for the person who had known. The person who watched her plan an entire afternoon around the wrong grandchildren while the one she ignored was about to be honored in front of every parent in the building. She found me. I was already looking at her. My face was calm. My back was straight. My hands were together, clapping for my daughter. And my eyes gave my mother nothing. No victory. No anger. No invitation to talk. Just the steady look of a woman who had stopped taking damage at exactly the right time. After the ceremony, the room broke apart into small groups. Parents came up to us. Teachers came up to us. People I had never talked to shook my hand and told me my daughter was special. And then they went to my mother. A woman in a nice blazer, someone from the school board, walked over with a big smile and put out her hand. "You must be Lily's grandmother. You must be so proud." My mother's face made a smile. The muscles moved the right way. But there was nothing real behind it. "Of course," she said. "We always knew she had it in her." The words fell flat. The school board woman held the handshake a little too long. She was looking at my mother's face the way people do when they expected a different reaction and did not get it. 2 more parents came up. Same thing. Same congratulations. Same Lily's grandmother. My mother took it with a stiff smile and careful words. She looked like a woman being thanked for a meal she did not cook in a kitchen she had tried to lock. The school photographer found me near the snack table. "Mrs. Harris? I would love to get a few more shots of Lily with the award. Maybe one with you and the family?" "Just Lily and me," I said. "That is the family." She nodded. Something in the way I said it told her what she needed to know. Or maybe she already knew, from whatever my mother had told her before the ceremony when she gave her a list of which grandchildren to photograph. A list with 2 names on it. She took 4 photos. Lily with the trophy. Lily and me together. Lily with Mrs. Dawson. Lily by herself at the podium with the gold envelope on the stand behind her. The shot list my mother arranged never happened.
The story changed.
And the camera followed the real story. Kevin caught me in the parking lot. The sun was getting low. Long shadows stretched across the blacktop. Lily was in the car with the windows down, turning her crystal trophy in the light and watching the colors bounce around. I was putting my bag in the trunk when I heard his shoes behind me. "Rachel." I turned. He was holding his car keys. Megan was already in their car with the twins. He looked uncomfortable, not guilty. Uncomfortable. Guilt means you know you did something wrong. Discomfort just means your day got harder. "Mom is really upset," he said. I waited. "She feels blindsided. She didn't know about the award. None of us did. You could have told us. You could have given her a chance to get ready." I looked at him for a long time. Long enough for him to shift from one foot to the other. "Get ready for what, Kevin?" "I don't know. To handle it." "To handle her granddaughter winning an award?" He blew air out through his nose. "Come on. You know what I mean." "I do. And that is the problem." He ran his hand through his hair. He looked at the ground, then at me, then the ground again. He had practiced this conversation on the walk over. And he was already off script. She booked Lyndon for all of us after the ceremony. She wanted to celebrate. She booked Lyndon for 5 people, Kevin, Lily, and I were not on the reservation. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. That was probably just a mistake. A mistake. Like the matching outfits were a mistake. Like the photographer instructions were a mistake. Like walking around the auditorium telling every parent about James and Olivia and never once saying Lily's name was a mistake. "What photographer instructions? What are you talking about?" "Ask Mom." She gave the school photographer a list before the ceremony. Which grandchildren to photograph.
2 names on it.
Lily was not one of them.
Kevin stared at me.
Something shifted behind his eyes. Not understanding. More like the first crack in a wall he had been leaning on his whole life. "Rachel, she wouldn't. She told Megan to manage my daughter's expectations. She said Lily would never be the grandchild she brags about. She said it 6 feet from a 9-year-old who was holding a program with her own name inside that gold envelope. So do not stand in this parking lot and tell me what she would or would not do." Quiet. His keys jingled. A car door shut somewhere behind us. She didn't mean it like that. "Kevin." I closed the trunk. I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. "You have been sitting at a table with an extra plate your whole life, and you have never once looked across to see who is missing. I am done explaining the math to someone who benefits from not counting." He stood there. I watched the sentence hit him. I watched him try to find the part he could argue with. He could not find it. "Rachel, I'm your brother. then act like Lily's uncle. I got in my car. He was still standing there when I fixed my mirror. Lily looked up from her trophy. Are we getting food? I'm starving. Yes, I said. Anywhere you want. Can we go to Rosie's? Rosie's. The diner on Elm Street. Red vinyl booths. Chocolate milkshakes that come in metal cups with extra on the side. We are absolutely going to Rosie's. We sat across from each other in a corner booth. The vinyl was cracked in places, and the table rocked unless you shoved a napkin under one leg. Lily set the trophy between us like a centerpiece. The crystal caught the light and threw tiny rainbows across the table. She ordered a grilled cheese and a chocolate milkshake. I got coffee and a slice of pie I never touched. I just watched her talk. She talked about the ceremony, about Mrs. Dawson's voice when she said the name, about how Sophie screamed so loud the boy in front of him jumped out of his chair, about how the trophy was heavier than she thought it would be. Mom, did you see Sophie's face? She grabbed my arm so hard I think I have a bruise.
I saw.
I thought she was going to pass out. She told me after that she screamed so loud her dad looked at her like she was broken. Sophie's dad looks at everybody like that. That is just his face. Lily laughed. A real, full laugh. The kind that only comes out when a kid feels completely safe. When she is sitting with someone who has never once made her earn the right to be there. She did not mention her grandmother. Not once. She did not mention James or Olivia or the navy blazers or the whisper or the hug that never happened. She just talked about what she did, what she earned, what it felt like to stand on that stage and hear 400 people say her name like it mattered. Mom, when Mrs. Dawson said my name, I thought she made a mistake. She didn't. I know. But for like 2 seconds I thought she was going to say a different name. Lily, look at me. She looked up. Milkshake on her upper lip and all. Nobody is correcting your name. Not today. Not ever. That award has your name on it because your name earned it. She nodded. Then she took another sip of her shake, and the serious moment passed. The way serious moments do with 9-year-olds. Fast and with chocolate on the lip. A waiter noticed the trophy and walked over. Hey, what did you win? Lily told him the whole thing. The Whitmore Award. The portfolio, the writing samples, the community project where her class collected books for the kids' ward at the hospital. She told him it was the biggest award the school gives out, and she said it with no bragging, just facts.
Clear and proud.
He crossed his arms and nodded like she was telling him something important. That is seriously cool, he said. Hang on. He came back a few minutes later with a free scoop of ice cream and a candle stuck in the top. She blew it out. She did not tell me what she wished for. I did not need her to. That night, the family group chat was dead silent. My mother, who fills that chat after every event with pictures of the twins, posted nothing. Kevin posted nothing. Megan posted nothing. No congratulations. No pictures. Not a single word about the ceremony. The silence told you everything. It was not that they forgot. It was that they refused. Nobody could congratulate Lily without admitting that my mother had spent the whole afternoon betting against her. I opened the chat. I looked at the empty space under the last message. It was a photo Megan had posted 4 days earlier. The twins trying on their navy blazers. Caption: ceremony ready? I took a screenshot of the silence. I saved it. Not to use against anyone. Just as a record. Because my family likes to rewrite history. And I have learned to save the version they will try to erase. 2 weeks later, a package showed up from Westbrook Academy. Inside was a framed photograph. Lily on stage, holding the crystal trophy, the gold envelope sitting behind her on the podium stand. Her green dress bright against the dark curtain. Her smile wide and easy and completely hers. I hung it in the living room. Not on the shelf where photos pile up and get buried behind holiday cards. On the wall. The main wall, right across from the front door, where the afternoon sun hits it first. There was already a nail there. It used to hold a family portrait. My mother, Kevin's family, and Lily pushed to the edge of the frame. I had taken that picture down the weekend, after the ceremony. The nail waited 2 weeks for something better. Lily's photo hung alone. One picture. One wall. One kid who did not need a matching outfit or a fancy introduction or a seat at some overpriced restaurant to be seen. If my mother ever steps inside this house again, it will be the first thing she sees when I open the door. The next morning, I braided Lily's hair the way I always do. 2 plaits, pulled back, held with the little elastic bands she keeps in a jar on the bathroom counter. She wore her uniform. She packed her own lunch. She swung her backpack on with one strap like she always does, even though I tell her every single day to use both. We walked to school. Same route. Same sidewalk. Same turn at the big oak tree, where somebody carved their initials into the bark years before we lived here. Lily walked beside me. She was a little taller that morning. Not in height. In something else. The way she held her shoulders. The way she looked straight ahead instead of at the ground. Like a kid who found out the day before that the world could see her, even when her family pretended not to. She did not bring up the ceremony. She did not mention her grandmother. She did not talk about the trophy or the gold envelope or the matching blazers or the whisper she may or may not have heard. She told me about her science project. She told me about a book Sophie lent her. She asked me, for the 11th time that month, if we could get a dog. I listened. I held her hand when she reached for mine. I let go when she pulled away to point at a cloud she said looked like a running shoe. And I realized, walking next to her in the regular morning light, that the biggest revenge was not the envelope. It was not the photo on the wall.
It was not the silent group chat.
It was not the look on my mother's face when 400 parents stood up and she could not. The biggest revenge was this. A 9-year-old girl walking to school on a Tuesday morning, talking about clouds and dogs and the periodic table, completely untouched by the woman who tried to rank her out of her own family.
My daughter was fine. She was free.
And she walked like someone who knew exactly which kind of love was real.